I'm Adam Smeester. Today's topic, it's a big one, toxic masculinity. So I'm going to do two of these. All right, so the first one, I'm going to talk mostly to boys and men, okay, about what being a man is and what being a man is not. If you are someone who pursues men, that might be interesting for you. And then the other one, I'm going to be talking to people who come in contact with a lot of boys, like who are trying to raise boys, like parents, teachers, or anybody else who's just generally interested in the subject and likes to talk about it a lot, okay? All right, so first of all, I'm going to start with saying that when it comes to toxic masculinity, it's not just males who can be toxic, okay? Anybody can become toxic. Here are some behaviors that can become toxic for people. Hate, having a lot of hate, having contempt, judging others, thinking you're better than other people. Okay, those are all things that can become toxic. Any negative human emotion taken to consistency can become toxic. Okay, so when we're talking about toxic masculinity, just know that we're not just, for these purposes, we're talking about men, but being toxic, okay, can't just be applied to men. The other thing I want to address is a lot of people have trouble with the phrase, act like a man, be a man. Usually, those people have a problem with it because they see it in relation to acting girly, okay, and the gender roles that are implied with that, okay? When I am talking about being a man, I'm making it in relation to being an immature boy, okay? So I'm not talking man versus girl, I'm talking about man versus boy here, okay? All right, so there are two things that I'm gonna hit on today. The first one is bearing your emotions. That can become toxic. And the other one is having the toughness facade, okay? Acting like the tough guy all the time, okay? And then I'm gonna get into some other things. So the first one, bearing your emotions. A lot of guys have trouble expressing their emotions. That was me. When I was growing up, I had trouble expressing my emotions. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know what it looked like. And I think that was just my generation, okay? Guys in my generation, we didn't go around doing that. And so when I got to dating, I felt like if I was having trouble with something with my girlfriend, if I expressed it, then I was making a big deal out of it. And if I was making a big deal out of it, then I was causing drama. And I don't need to cause drama because I'm a man and I can get over it and I'm tough, so I just can bury it and get through it, okay? And that's what I thought. I didn't realize how to express myself emotionally until I was a man in adulthood, dating my now current wife. Okay, I didn't know how to do that. But now that I know how to do it, I realize that bearing your emotions isn't strength, it's weakness. And I also realize that the connections that you can make with other men and in your personal, intimate relationships are way stronger when you can finally express yourself, all right? So here's how this can become toxic. Okay, when you don't express yourself, when you just bury your emotions all the time, you're not only hurting the people around you, you're hurting yourself. Okay, that's the biggest thing. Because when you're not expressing your emotions, you aren't telling people how you feel or what you need. You're not expressing needs. And this life is too hard to handle on your own. You're gonna need other people there for support. To reach your potential, you're gonna need other people. And when you're not expressing yourself, you can't reach your potential and other people can't help you, okay? And maybe you think, well, a tough guy shouldn't need help. No, okay, you're gonna need help. Life's too tough for one person to handle, like the lone wolf thing. Life's too tough, okay? So just get that out. It's a strong man has strong relationships, and you can only have strong relationships if you express yourself emotionally. Okay, you gotta learn how to do that. Burying it all the time, that's weakness. Okay, it's not strength. Most of my life I had it backwards, all right? So now the other thing, acting like a tough guy. All right, if you value toughness, being tough, handling pain, being able to get up when you've been knocked down, that's fine, okay? That in itself is not toxic. If that's a value of yours, fine, okay? But it's taken to an extreme that can become toxic, and here's where people take it to an extreme. When you need to be the toughest. So when you feel like you need to be the toughest, you go around comparing yourself to all the other guys, because how else would you know if you're the toughest? And you're trying to act tough all the time, which also implies that you're burying your emotions. When you do that, you're creating adversaries out of all the other guys. And there was a time in my life when I used to do that. I used to walk into a room and I would kind of survey it and see all the other types of guys in there. And I'd kind of wonder, like, am I the toughest guy in here? Could I take That guy over there, he looks pretty tough. Could I take that guy? And you just end up making adversaries out of potential friends. So it's not really helpful for you. A lot of guys do that because they think toughness translates to dangerous, and a lot of guys need to feel dangerous. So here's a reality check. You live in the 21st century. There's not that much danger lurking around you, all right? So the guys who I love John Wick films, but I also recognize that is fantasy, that's fiction, and I live in reality. And I cannot try to be the people in the fictional stories and try to be those guys in reality and try to be dangerous and try to be tough. Okay, chances are if you took those characters out of their positions in those films, just the character, not the actor, but the character, and you hung out with them, they'd probably be jerks. And you probably wouldn't have a lot of fun with them because they're just into acting tough all the time. So, why do guys need to feel dangerous, and why do they feel the need to be tough and dangerous? Well, because they want respect, and that's ultimately what all of this is about, is they're after respect. Men and boys need to feel respected. They need to feel respected by the people around them, and they need to know that people respect them. So what a lot of guys do is they go around trying to take respect from other people. You cannot take respect from other people. You need to gain respect from other people. Okay, if you're going around trying to impose yourself to gain respect, that's a sign of insecurity. If you think you're a tough guy, it should be enough for you to know you're tough. You don't need to go around proving it. If you need to go around proving yourself to everyone all the time, chances are you're not trying to prove it to everybody else as much as you're trying to prove it to yourself because you're insecure. Going around trying to prove how dangerous and tough you are to gain respect, that's a sign of insecurity. And that insecurity leads to toxicity in society. Okay, here's what that can lead to. That can lead to men and boys doing the one-up thing. Like, well, you did that, I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you how tough I am. Oh, I'm going to show you how brave I am by doing this. And you kind of one-up each other. That can lead to physical harm because you're going to hurt yourself. That can lead to violence because you may be fighting or stealing. That leads to crime. That leads to incarceration. And then that leads to multiple victims in your society, your increase in victimhood. Okay, that's not helpful. You're tearing things down. That's what little boys do. They walk around the house and they just tear things apart. That's what you're doing. You're acting like an immature boy. Okay, you're not acting like a man. That's not strength. When it comes to, well, how do you gain respect then? People have the idea that people need to earn my respect. Okay, but you don't actually think that because when you go to a class, you expect the teacher to respect you. And you expect when you go to your friend's house, their parents to respect you. Okay? You don't expect to earn their respect, so why would you impose that on other people? My philosophy is you give respect to everybody because they're human beings and you respect other people unless they've done something to not earn it. You cannot make people respect you. When you start imposing yourself on other people, that's when problems happen. Okay? And that's when you start having to tear people down to take that respect. You have to gain it, which means a few things. Being dangerous, if that's a value of yours, like, okay, but here's a way to do that without being toxic. You can, like this famous psychologist Jordan Peterson says, you can be dangerous in a helpful way. Well, what does being dangerous in a helpful way mean? Well, that means that you don't tear things down all the time. You are trying to build things up through strength, things that other people will have a hard time tearing down. That means you're standing up for yourself. That means you're standing up for others. To gain respect, here's what you have to do. You have to take responsibility. Okay? You have to take responsibility for the things in life that you have been tasked to protect. And there are some things in life that you have been tasked to protect. Okay, here are some things. Your education. You don't blow that off. Don't try to take the shortcut. Take responsibility for your family, even if your family kind of sucks. Okay, be the man in the family. Take responsibility for your relationships. Take responsibility for the tasks around you, like helping out around the house, because that's where you live, that's where you inhabit. Okay, you need to make those places an inhabitable, place where you want to be. Express yourself to those who love you and to those who care for you because you owe them that. Take responsibility for respecting women. Take responsibility for your time. Take responsibility for your job. Be on time. I hear too many stories of high school kids. How's your job going? Oh, I got fired. What'd you get fired for? Oh, I wasn't showing up. I just didn't feel like it. Well, that's what a boy does. That's an immature boy. Be a man. Take responsibility. Take some responsibility in the fact that you've been tasked with some things at work and be the best person at that job, even if it's a menial job. Okay, that's how you climb the ladder. You will gain respect from other people if you do that. Here are some things that some people think being a man means. If you do these things, this is not being a man, all right? The hookup culture, hooking up with women. Okay, just because you can hook up with a lot of people does not make you a man. Okay, that's your ego. Okay, that's weakness. Because being with one woman or having a girlfriend or a wife isn't enough for you. Okay, you need to feel like a man all the time, and you need to constantly test that out by who's attracted to you and who's willing to take the next step with you. That's just feeding your ego because you're insecure. Okay, that's weakness. That's an insecurity. Being aggressive isn't toxic, but being overly aggressive is when you start hurting people with your aggression, okay, or your words, okay, which can be a sign of aggression. Okay, being competitive isn't toxic, but being overly competitive is, which means you are comparing yourself to other people all the time. That just leads to misery. You're not going to be a happy person. If you're comparing yourself to everybody else all the time, you're going to be a miserable person, and you're being miserable to those around you. Dominating others, that's not being manly if you can dominate others. In sports, it's okay. That's what you want to do, but leave it on the field. Okay, you need to respect other people. So here's what being a real man is. Okay, I'm going to sum it up. Being a real man means you're kind, you're emotionally available, which means you can accept love, you can express yourself to those around you, and you can give love. That you are in control of yourself, which means you're in control of your anger. Okay, you know how to express your anger without hurting other people. You protect, which means you take responsibility for the things I just talked about. It also means you're honest. People aren't going to respect someone who's not honest. You're not going around telling lies to get out of things all the time. Okay, taking responsibility means you take responsibility for the consequences of your actions. You do that, you won't be weak. You will be a strong person. If you don't know how to do that, find a mentor. Okay, I've had mentors before. What that means is you're finding another male that embodies those things, and you just try to either go hang out with them, maybe it's a teacher, you just go in their classroom, you start picking their brain. They'll understand what you're doing. If you can do those things, okay, you will feel more fulfilled. You will find more connection in life and other people. You will gain people's respect, and you will gain their trust. You will become a strong man who other men look to for support, and that's what being a man is. All right, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching.